The devil has a master strategy for your destruction, and it's set forth in 4 clear steps outlined in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 18 and 19. Notice in verse 18 that the Bible says they are darkened in their understanding and separated from the life of God. That's step number 1, the darkening of the understanding. The devil knows that he cannot change the way you act unless he changes the way you think. And so his first step is to darken the understanding. Still in verse 18, you'll notice at the end of that verse the phrase, the hardening of their hearts. That's step number 2. Step number 1 is darkening of the understanding. Step number 2, the hardening of the heart. He wants to change the way you think, and then he wants to change the way you feel. He wants to get you to the point where, notice in verse 19, having lost all sensitivity, that's step number 3, loss of sensitivity. He wants you to be at a point where you can sin and no longer feel grief or shame or pain over the sin in your life. Step number 4 is found in these phrases, giving themselves over to sensuality, so as to indulge in every kind of impurity with a continual lust for more. That step is step number 4, immersion into sensuality. And I think the real danger for many of us, not only do we ignore the existence of the devil, we don't believe he's doing this in our lives. We think he may be doing this to somebody else, but certainly he's not succeeding in working out this strategy in my life. Well, let me ask you some questions. As we look at each step, step number 1, the darkening of the understanding. Have you recently changed the way you think about some specific sin? Has there been a shift in your thinking? You used to think something's wrong, but you've changed your mind, and you no longer think that given behavior is sinful anymore. Step number 2, the hardening of the heart. And I want you to think about this question. Have you noticed a pattern of repeating behavior you once thought of as being wrong? So first, you've changed your mind. You thought it was wrong, but now it's not wrong anymore. Now you find that you're doing that very thing over and over again. Step number 3, loss of sensitivity. Are you doing something that it used to grieve your conscience, but it no longer causes guilt or shame? It doesn't hurt anymore. It doesn't. You don't feel ashamed. You don't feel guilty. It doesn't prick your conscience or bother you at all. Step number 4, immersion into sensuality. Are you still in control of your desires, or have your desires taken control of you? You see, sometimes we get to the point where we're ready to quit sin, but we can't get ourselves out of what we got ourselves into. Where are you in that progression towards destruction? And let me just urge you as you think about that, if your life is out of control, I really want to encourage you, why not bring your life under God's control?